Seeing blood in early pregnancy can be one of the most frightening experiences any woman can have. Is it just normal spotting or is it the beginning of a miscarriage? I know how confusing and heartbreaking this can be because I have had a miscarriage at 6 weeks. In today's video, I will share my story and also explain the difference between pregnancy bleeding and a miscarriage. Welcome back to NK Fertility Solutions, where we talk everything pregnancy, fertility, and your holistic living, backed by faith. Whatever your story is in this journey regarding miscarriage, trying to conceive, hang in there. The word of God still stands sure. So you can go through this and still come out victorious in the other side, just like I went through it and I came out victorious. I still remember vividly, like yesterday, when I found out that I was pregnant. I saw those two double line. I personally did a home test by myself, yes, with my urine, and also did a confirmation blood test. I'm a medical laboratory scientist. I had to draw my blood myself to test, and yes, the double line showed. I was happy, and I've missed my period. Okay, so I actually did ultrasound, and we can see the sac, yes, but the heartbeat is not yet there. I should come back in 2 weeks' time to actually repeat. So within that coming back in 2 weeks' time was when this whole miscarriage happened. How did it happen? I went to do a visitation. I joined a group. We went for hospital visitation. Mind you, I already had my first child at this point in time. So this is my second pregnancy we're talking about here. So when we came back at that evening, I just noticed like a blood spot. And instead of the blood spot like reducing, it kept getting like increasing by the hour, by the hour, by the hour. And I was having mild cramp. The mild cramp, it was just a mild cramp, nothing serious. So I'm like, maybe it's implantation bleeding. Because I came back quite late in the evening, I didn't actually go to hospital to find out what was happening. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to take a rest and let me just sleep through it. By the next morning, it was gushing. It was gushing and the cramp became intense. That was when it was obvious to me that this is a miscarriage. I am having a miscarriage. Getting to the hospital to get an ultrasound done, and they said everything has gone. Men and brethren, it was one of the most frightening experience for me. It was very emotional for I and my husband at that point in time. Notice how the bleeding started. It started with mild spotting, but very red. And it was increasing by the hour. It was increasing by the hour, as well as the cramp was increasing. There was no break at all. The intensity was there, but due to the pregnancy was still at the earliest stage, it wasn't that so much intense like that, but I was feeling the cramps. So deep down, I was really scared. That is why I want to share what I've learned about the difference between normal pregnancy bleeding and early miscarriage. Many times, women miscarry even before they find that they're pregnant. Yes, it's a possibility. That is why on this journey, you have to always be paying attention to your body. I've heard women will say, oh, I didn't know that I was pregnant, and before I know it, I was having this heavy bleeding. Not all bleeding during early pregnancy means miscarriage. When I'm referring to early pregnancy, I'm simply referring to that first trimester because I was still in my first trimester when this thing happened. The risk of a woman having miscarriage is higher during your first trimester, especially that earliest week when the fertilized egg is still landing in the womb, getting implanted. The risk is very, very high that time. Because without first trimester, there will be no second trimester and there will be no third trimester. In fact, spotting can be very common in first trimester. Here are some normal reasons why you might experience bleeding or spotting during your early pregnancy and you will still be totally fine. You will not have a miscarriage, you will be fine. Number one is already most known fact, implantation bleeding. This happens when the fertilized egg attaches itself to the lining of the womb. And it usually happens around that supposed time you were supposed to see your period. And that is what I actually thought at that time. But because I'm like, it's just barely 6 weeks. Maybe this is implantation bleeding. Okay. But like I said, the bleeding kept getting more intense by the hour. So during implantation bleeding, usually it doesn't really get intense by the hour. But you will notice that yes, you saw a blood. It could be pinkish, it could even be slightly reddish or brownish, but it doesn't increase by the hour, and there is no obvious or intense cramps that comes with it. Next reason why you might be having bleeding and it's totally normal in early pregnancy is what is known as cervical sensitivity. During pregnancy, your cervix it has more intense blood supply. So any activity, be it intimacy, be it even transvaginal ultrasound, it can cause bleeding to happen. The best type of ultrasound to do during that your early pregnancy is not TVS. It could lead to cervical sensitivity and you might have bleeding, but most times it doesn't progress. It doesn't progress because naturally that place is receiving more blood supply, more oxygenation, so that they can actually help to keep the pregnancy in check. Also, pelvis needs to be tightly closed. And next reason is hormonal changes. Yes, shifting hormones in early pregnancy can sometimes cause light bleeding and it's totally fine. This is in respect to progesterone and estrogen. But when you notice that it's getting out of hand, you are going to report yourself to the hospital. Don't be like me that didn't go because I'm like, oh, it's already late. Maybe I'll go tomorrow. And by that tomorrow, it was already when I had threatened miscarriage. I didn't waste time. I didn't waste time because that first one taught me a lesson. I quickly reported myself and started immediate medical attention. Now let's look at signs that you could be having early miscarriage. First, bleeding from early miscarriage is usually heavier than normal. And here are some common signs. One is bright red bleeding that increases sometimes heavier than a period. Secondly is passing clots or tissues. Thirdly is cramping or lower back pain, which is usually intense. You will know that this is not mild cramp. You are feeling like as if you are in labor. Next is a sudden stop in pregnancy symptoms. You were having nausea and you will notice that the nausea will disappear. You were vomiting, the vomiting will disappear. You were getting tired or sluggish, you will notice that they will disappear. Your appetite that was dancing up around will start to stabilize. Even your mood, the early pregnancy symptoms are decreasing by the day. And sometimes including the breast tenderness. And in some cases, your pregnancy test line might start to get fainter. If you're someone that is like, okay, let me even test again and be sure, you will check the intensity of that test line and you will notice that it's dropping. Same thing can apply if you decide to go and do ultrasound. They might start telling you, we are not seeing heartbeat, the sac is empty. If you notice any of these symptoms, it's important to reach out to your healthcare provider right away. Here is what to do if you notice bleeding. First, if you ever see bleeding during your first trimester or your early pregnancy, please don't panic. It's important you don't panic because the more you panic, the more you are afraid, and that tension can put your whole system at alert and even flip the coin. Even if it wasn't even what nature wanted to happen, you might change it the other way around. That is not favorable. So stay calm, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Call for support. Is there someone you can call to support you? A prayer can be said, an encouraging word can be said. Reach out to an expert care provider so that they can advise you on the proper steps to take. Rest and monitor the bleeding, which is what I did. I actually said, okay, let me rest and monitor this bleeding, okay? So as I was resting and monitoring, I noticed that it was increasing by the hour. Most importantly, take care of your emotions. The waiting can be very stressful, so surround yourself with supportive and give yourself the grace to heal. During that time, I grieved, even as if it's 6 weeks, I grieved, my husband grieved, we were sad at that moment, okay? Very sad, not just sad, we're sad for like a week, not really happy with what happened, okay? So, but we had support, people telling us, calm down, another baby will come, the one that will stay will come, maybe this happened for a reason. What if it's a chromosomal issue? Do you understand? Do you want to have an abnormal baby? It's better you just allow God to work things out from for your life. So many positive words were coming and it was really encouraging and lifting. So instead of going through it alone, find a support system. Even if it's one person, it means a lot for your emotions, for your healing, and for your spirit. To anyone who has gone through miscarriage and you're watching this video, you are not alone. I have gone through it and I came out victorious. Like, I still went on to have 2 babies after that, okay? 2 healthy babies. So you too can actually equally go ahead and have as many babies as you want. So don't let the enemy deceive you that this is the end of the road for you. It's not the end of the road for you. It's just a season, and God has taught you a lesson through that. You have learned your lessons and you are moving on. You will conquer in your next pregnancy. Prayer is not over, and your body is still capable of carrying that baby to full term and healing completely. That's one mindset the enemy will be telling you. Are you sure you carry your next pregnancy to full term? Shut it down. You are going to carry your baby to full term next time you get pregnant. And you will get pregnant soonest. It's not going to take forever. Soonest, okay? Thank you for listening to my story and learning with me today. If you've ever experienced early pregnancy bleeding or miscarriage and you feel comfortable sharing, please leave a comment. You might be encouraging someone out there. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Be part of this community. He wish above all things that you and I prosper and be in amazing health, even as our soul prospereth. The anchor scripture we're going to be using today is in Psalm 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So don't give up. No matter how you think the enemy has crushed you, the Lord is very, very close. Bye-bye. See you on the other side of victory.